Hello, everybody. This is Anna. But before we start, can we just breathe? Can we just breathe for a second? Okay, so please introduce yourself. And are you a spiritual believer or a non-spiritual believer?
I'm a spiritual believer. And my name is Anna. I'm an intuitive social media mentor.
Okay, perfect. So I want to ask you about what does spirituality mean to you? How do you see spirituality?
Sorry, I have to step outside. There's just too many people in my household.
No problem.
Can you ask that again, sweetheart? I'm sorry.
No problem. What does spirituality mean to you?
Spirituality to me means divine energy. I don't know how else to put it. It means connection to me, through me, sort of like a flow. It's something I stick true to every bit of my life. It's in everything that I do. And it's mostly the divine connection between me and a high energy source. I don't know what to call it, but that's what we're going to go with.
Perfect. How I see spirituality, I see it as more like a self-love, self-growth. I feel like it's always, spirituality is within you.
Yeah.
I feel like when I was in a deep depressive state of my life, something called out to me, and it was within me, and I didn't know what it was called. I didn't know it was spirituality. I didn't know that a spirit guide or an entity or an angel or maybe God was speaking to me. So I definitely see it as a like a self-healing mechanism.
Can I go off of that? Oh, hi, Anna. I'm sorry. I was a little quiet at first. I'm Angelene.
Hi.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, so how Vicky was saying that, like, she didn't really know what to call it at first. I'm so happy that she said that, because actually when I first came into spirituality, I had no idea that it was really, like, called spirituality. I was thinking, like, all right, this is like God, from the Christian God, and like, because that's what I grew up with, that's what I thought. And I'm like, I'm having a revelation moment. I'm like, God is appearing to me and moving me, and it felt great. And it doesn't even matter if that's what you think it is. If it's God, if it's Buddha, if it's a tree, like, it's the fact that you're recognizing
it's
that
what you make it.
Yes, it's what you connect with yourself to feel love, and to feel
and what resonates with you.
Purpose. Exactly. So I didn't even know what it was like. So what made sense to me was, like, I just right away thought, oh, it's God. And when I started to, like, really dive into my, like, own feelings and what I really thought, it became more than just one religion. Like, I just began to, like, diversify my concept and my belief, and I just began to open up to more understanding. And I think that's where I personally believe that I believe truly, honestly, with everything in my entire being, that if more people were open-minded, that we would have better communication, and we'd be able to share more love with each other.
I just want to mention that Angelene used to be like a devotee for Christianity, and she's just kind of like, not that she got out of it, it's just that she's seen a different view. So I just want to mention that, because I feel like her perspective in spirituality, it's like, it's very interesting, because she kind of like compares it to Christianity, and she also compares it to spirituality, and it's really cool because some are similar, right?
Yeah.
So, Anna, I just wanted to ask you, when was the first time you ever really opened up to spirituality to the point where you told people, like, yeah, I'm spiritual? Like, even though you judge me, I don't care.
Oh, my whole life.
Perfect.
I've kind of been like that my whole life. I've never been one to really, like, sit in or kind of, like, I tried to. I was one of those people who really tried really hard to fit in all the time and tried to, like, make sure that I didn't stick out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then when it came to spirituality, it was kind of just, like, embedded into me. And I think it was mostly because of my mother, because my mom was a Catholic growing up. But she was very connected spiritually more than anything. And so that sort of kind of put me into a more spiritual perspective just at a very young age. And then as I grew up, I came into, like, different experiences with everybody else's outlooks on what spirituality is and what they connect with, what resonates in them. And then when I think it's when I lost my connection to my spiritual self is, like, when I came into, like, real life self-help, like, I needed it. And that's when I, like, dove into different religions and tried to figure out what I understood about their perspectives on spirituality, because so many different people my whole life have told me different stories about what it is, and I just could never pinpoint what it is, if that makes sense.
No, I totally get it. It's so funny that... sorry, continue.
No. And so just, like, my own self-love journey, like, when you said that, it kind of, like, clicked. It was like that's exactly what I'm here for. Like, that's what it is the journey that you put out and the journey that connects with you. But also, you can't forget, like, it connects along with everybody else. Like, we're all one. We're all on a kind of spiritual level that way. Like, we're all just trying to connect, I feel like.
You know, I think
just different perspectives.
No, that I completely have to agree with you. I think it's really funny because I have a story to tell. Okay, so, like, not too long ago, I believe in, like, February, I actually went to Hawaii. I went on a cruise to Hawaii, to different islands. I'm sorry, Hawaii. Sorry, I don't want to offend anybody.
No, you're good.
But I went there, and funny story is that I met a devotee. Right, I'm just gonna give him a fake name, and I'm gonna give him a fake religion just because I don't want to exploit him. But so I met a devotee. He's a monk, right? And at the time, I just broke up with my boyfriend of 4 years, and I broke up with him for self-love. And I feel like some people don't understand that if that's even a real issue, right? And I believed deeply that it was a real issue. Like, if I can't love myself, how can I love somebody else? So long story short, I meet this devotee, right? And he's practicing in, like, self-love, and, like, he has he believes in God, and he does mantras every morning and every night. And, like, I just met him one day, and I started talking to him, and one thing led to another. Surprisingly, yeah, we kind of, like, hit it off. Like, we were spending a good amount of time together, and I was learning so much about his religion or his spirituality of being a monk, and how similar it is to spirituality. Because I had a moment where I told him, I was like, look, sometimes I feel like okay, so I told him a story, right? I told him a story about how I had a dream that I chose to be alive. Like, I had a dream that this thing, this angel, this God, I don't know what it is, I couldn't see it, but it would transfer to black and white colors, right, every time it spoke to me. And I remember it asked me, do you want to live a life? And I said, yes, I do. And he goes, do you understand the consequences, the risks of death and life, and, all this kind of stuff? And I said, yes, I do. I don't care. I want to go. And he pushes me into a portal, right, on the ground. And I fall through, and I remember when I was falling down to earth, I was like, remember everything, remember what I've seen, remember everything. And I told him this, and he goes, wow. And I go, what? And he goes, that's in our gospel, is that portals exist of rebirth. And I was like so amazed. And I was like, dude, I'm not crazy. Like, this is insane. And he goes, yeah, this just proves my point of my beliefs. And I'm so glad. He was like appreciating me, grateful that he met me and stuff like that. So another question I want to ask you is that, have you experienced any miracles within your belief in spirituality? Like, what was your first spiritual phenomenon or unexplainable spiritual event that ever happened in your life?
There's a few, actually. Let's see if I can share one that let's go with the recent one. Okay. So I just recently moved out of my parents' house, and I'm kind of like chilling on my best friend's couch for a little bit. And before, I had been wanting a certain experience for a long time that had been very traumatic to me in the past. And I started speaking it into a little bit more into existence, because the feeling that I got during the experience, I didn't want to be afraid of it anymore. You know, like, because I knew it was all good. Everything was okay. It's just that sort of connection that I felt during the experience, I wanted it again. So, but in a different setting. So I had talked to so many different people about it. Probably two or three new people that have, you know, come into my world because of the pandemic and quarantine. So I've been hanging out with a lot of different people on Zoom. And I just briefly mentioned to them that I was nervous about, you know, moving in with new roommates, because, you know, I have to be surrounded by good energy, because I soak up a lot of it, if that makes sense.
No, I get that. I definitely get that.
So, like, just I had been in my head so much about, you know, like, I don't know if this is going to be good for me. I don't know if, like, this is going to be okay. Can I do this? Am I ready for this step to, like, just be chilling, you know, on a couch for a little bit? Like, is this what my life has come to? And then the minute I realized, like, damn, dude, like, this is happening for you right now. Like, you need to wake up. You need to pay attention and just go with it. And that was, like, my click. And, like, just go. Just do. Just keep going. And I ended up being able to have the experience I wanted again this weekend. And it was in a completely different headspace. Like, I wasn't scared. I wasn't questioning myself. My anxiety sort of cleared up. And I was able to fully focus on the things that I wanted from the experience and the things that I was going to gain to be able to share with other people, to be able to connect with other people on a deeper level, rather than just, you know, the surface level, because I'm too scared to go within, you know?
That's so awesome.
You know, I have a question.
Yeah.
What did you do? Were you meditating to re-experience the trauma?
So yeah, in a way. So I am a heavy marijuana smoker. So I had to take a few days from smoking in order to sort of reach my high again. I have a medical card, so just to throw that out there. And like, I had to disconnect from it, because I usually do utilize it as on my spiritual path. And for me to have been abusing it for so long, I needed to take a break. And something was telling me along that break, instead of extending it so far, I needed to connect with it in a different level. And so I was able to use it as a celebratory thing instead of, like, an escape. So for the fact that I was, like, set up to, I'm going to, you know, put it off for a month, instead I'm going to actually utilize it. First, use it for something. Give it a reason to use it, instead of just using it because it's there. It was like a mind thing. It was like a healthy cleanse for me over the weekend. So it was a lot of self-work that I did in the few days, but I actually enjoyed it. So
I really liked that you mentioned that you used marijuana as sort of like your like routine, or your way to, like, enter into, like, that peaceful state, or whatever you might call it. your higher self, or like aligning your chakras, like to different people, and it might be different things. But I really, really like that you said that, because I personally know a lot of people who use marijuana as not as sometimes, yes, they I have a few friends who are like very talented, and they sometimes if they're not watching it, they abuse it. But I feel like it's just another item like that we can use in life if we're not watching our balance with either we're using it too much or maybe we need to, that's our way to like get into it, get back into like finding our higher spiritual self. I feel like it's not just like marijuana itself. It, like, other people can find that very relatable to, like, for me, like exercising or overeating or too much TV, too much television, or even just
too much social media.
Yeah, even just like being isolated, too much alone time is really not good for you. We're designed for community, and I just really like that you used that's part of your lifestyle is like using marijuana, because I know that now it's starting to become more legalized, and it helps a lot of people who don't really like when they first come into it. Like, I know a few people who they didn't really understand, and they didn't know how to do any of it, and there's like all these steps when you try to look it up online, and it's just overwhelming sometimes. But there are people who are like that, who are into smoking marijuana, who have their card and want to experience maybe something deeper, I think that they should try that. Like,
dude, I'm gonna try that.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna try that.
Oh yeah, it's good.
What? Oh, I'm sorry. May I ask a question?
Yeah, definitely.
So, what do you suggest when you smoke yours? Do you sit down? Do you take a few? Do you breathe? Do you like ask yourself questions, or do you just close your eyes and lay back or sit up? Like, can you walk us through your routine?
So it's really important that my first hit of the day is in silence. If that, like, I have to wake up in the morning in peace to start my day. It's very, very important, just because, like, my fight or flight is very, like, wiry in the morning. So, like, if I don't start off in silence and then I don't connect with myself in silence, I get thrown off a little bit in my day. But I also find it very important for me to be moving afterwards. So, like, if I'll be able to sit and smoke in the morning, but then after I have to get going, I have to get doing things. Otherwise, I sit around and I get lazy and I get caught up in my thinking. So I have to have a regular schedule. So this is like something that, I don't know if there are any spiritual entrepreneurs out there who use marijuana to, like, get through their day. You definitely have to stick to a schedule and set it up. That way you can get going once you're stony baloney. But I ride a bike, so I've been able to, like, do a lot of my errands and different things in a state of mind that is, like, one, exercising. I do a lot of yoga, and then also, two, I'm staying on top of my daily activities as well. So, like, I've been able to incorporate the marijuana usage in my everyday life, but since then, it's been cut, like, back a whole lot because of the usage.
Okay. So when you first take your first hit, you just let's say, like, for example, you're standing and you just take a deep breath, and that's it, and it's easy for you to, like, feel that peace come over you. What would you call it?
Honestly, I don't know.
Like,
AnaFesting.
Oh, by the way, I we both agreed, Vicky and I, that we love your channel name. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, dude, AnaFesting, that shit
It's, like,
is
perfect.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
I just want to say, like to our viewers, when we get viewers, that Anna is from Hawaii. So if she sounds like she's a little staticky, it's because she's actually on the phone with us. So I just want to state that. That's it.
That's
Okay.
pretty cool. It's cool how you can do that. Where are you guys from? Arizona, you said, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're
that's
in
awesome.
Arizona.
That's really cool.
Okay, so there's one question that I do really want to talk about is the shadow side of spirituality, because I understand that when people first start coming into spirituality, they get a spirituality high where it's like love is love and everything I love, and when I feel like within spirituality it's a balance. There's a yin and yang in it. There's a good and there's evil. And I do want to make this statement before I start saying anything else, is that you cannot find light in darkness. You can only find darkness in you can't find darkness in light, but you can find
Oh, you did it backwards.
Light
what?
in darkness.
Yes.
You got it.
Yeah. So I just wanted to ask you, like, oh, did you guys hear that? That was my tummy.
Oh, hungry. Hungry sis.
Oh, agree. So what's the first thing have you ever experienced anything conflicting with your spirituality, like your shadow side? Like, I just want to explain the shadow side because, because when people get through spirituality, they get scared sometimes. Like, they're afraid. And I just want to make sure that, that everybody has these experiences of the shadow side.
Yes.
Like me losing my,
And it can be called different things, but I think the most common way to explain it, the best way to explain it is called the shadow side, right?
Yeah. So do you understand what we mean by that?
Can one of you guys give me a little example? I'm not sure I understand what you mean.
Okay, so me, personally, I wasn't really sure what I would call it or what it was, but when I was first experiencing it, like when I first drifted away from my like loving God and following God, and because that's what I called it, following the plan that God has for me and trying to be the most that I can, like Jesus. When I went away from that, the reason why I did was because I was having a lot of I guess you could say visitations from, I thought, because what I grew up learning was, they were like demons. And so I thought that they were demons. And I thought that I was having these visitations from demons. And it scared me and it freaked me the F out. So I was like, nope, not dealing with this. I felt like, okay, if I'm going to go deeper into my religion, if I'm going to go deeper into loving God, then I'm going to have to I'm going to have to do like Jesus. I'm going to have to come meet the devil on top of the mountain, and we're going to hash this out, and the devil's going to tempt me and try to scare me away. Somebody always somewhere in church, they said, I felt, I don't know if they said, but I always interpreted that there were going to be attacks of the devil and demons were going to come after me. So I always thought oh man. And then I started to see these things and they felt way too real. So I just went away from it. I fell away. And when I came back just recently this year, I had a great, I won't talk about it because it's a long story, but I had a great experience. It was actually very, very scary, but in the end, it was very great. It was in the same day.
Yeah.
But I started to feel every time I'm super into meditating. I love meditation. I really feel okay, so when you take a hit in the morning, you it's easy for you because you said that you're a constant user, and then marijuana is kind of your way to recenter yourself. And you just said you were saying about how if there's too much noise around you, you feel it might take you away from you need that time to really focus on yourself, to be yourself, or I'm sorry, I believe that's what you said,
to hear myself.
Hear yourself, that's what you said. So I'm interpreting that as you reconnecting with who you are spiritually. That's how I kind of heard that. That's what it makes sense to me. And and so every time I meditate, when I meditate, that's me realigning myself with who I am on the inside, with what my deeper desires are, what my visions and goals are. And every time I would go into that, I feel this evil, awful, fearful thing that just wants to hurt me. And sometimes it's multiple things, and then sometimes it's fear of things watching me at night. I can feel it. And then I started to ask myself, at first I thought they were demons, but then I didn't believe in them. And then, so I was very conflicted at what it was and what I was experiencing. And finally, I just said, you know what? I don't care. Like, these things, like, what are they going to do to me? Like, finally, I just got fed up because I was just not meditating, and I wasn't happy, and all I wanted to do was just find my peace again, and just go into that, my meditation, and just, you know, have me time, and focus on my goals, because I was not progressing. So I just did it. And then when I felt that energy again, I was listening to a podcast. I won't go into them, but they're awesome. I love Mind Valley podcast, and he had a guest speaker, and he was saying that, like, in his dream he had monsters, and he'd tell the monsters, like, he would hug them and say I love you, because the monsters were a part of him. So I was like, wow, I was kind of blown away about that. So like, when I went into meditation again, I was like, I don't know what to do, but I don't know if this evil thing is a part of me, but I'm just like, I'm gonna try it. So I felt that energy coming all over me. And then, I don't know if you've ever felt fear, like, within yourself about something. It, like, if you accept that thought, like, it just, like, kind of consumes you. It becomes, like, more and more and more. And then it just distracts you from everything. So before it did that, before I accepted, like, the thought that I was afraid, before I accepted the fact that I was afraid, I said, I love you. And I just kept saying it and saying it and saying it until I didn't feel it anymore. And it went away. And long story short, like, I had this sort of revelation when I started reading more, like I'm reading this book now, the Four Agreements, and I was reading and watching more things about Dr. Joe Dispenza, and on his Gaia app, and he was saying a lot of things about that. You know, those are just a part of you. Like, that evil sense that you're feeling is really just you. Like, all of the energy that you feel around you is you. And I don't know if you know anything about Buddhism, but Buddhism, they say the same thing, that, like, everything is you. Everything is a mirror. It's a reflection of you. Like, Vicky is me. This desk is me. The tree outside is me. You, Anna, you are a part of me. Like, and so that's part of, like, Buddhism. So I kept doing that, and it didn't go, it kept happening, like, that sort of darkness kept coming back. And finally I just said, I accept you. I accept you for who you are, and I love you. And girl, after that, like, I don't see these things anymore, and I am so much more at peace. And I think I think a lot of, like, I hear a lot of people too, they experience a lot of that, a lot of, like, fear and a lot of conflict and questioning themselves. And I don't know everything, but, well, that's my story. So I hope that kind of cleared things up for you. Have you ever felt any of that, like, dark sort of presence?
Oh yeah, plenty of times. Plenty of times where I'm, like, screaming and shouting and looking up at the sky, and I'm just like, why? Like, why? Like, why am I going through this? Why is this happening to me? Why do I even feel this way? And that's when, like, I physically feel it come over me, and it's just like, everything is going to be good. Like, you're fine. Like, this is just the right now. And it sort of pulls me out of my head space. Because, like, you know how there's those thoughts that just are going 100 miles per hour at those times, like when you really get such high and
hey, you're breaking up on us a
and you're
bit.
just what to do, you feel overwhelmed. Oh,
you're good now. You're good now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so, like, when the thoughts are going so fast, and, like, I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed, like, my body is what brings me back to the present tense, and then I literally feel each moment from there. And it kind of makes me think about my body, so it pulls me into a spot where I have to be doing something. Because usually when I'm overwhelmed, if I'm not, like, moving around and doing stuff, like, that's when, like, my brain and everything decides to shut down. Because, like, I'll shut down everything, like, mentally, just shut everything out and just give up and like, bottle everything up. And that's when I can't do the self-work. That's when I'm just like, I turn off the world. So when I'm able to, one, smoke, two, reconnect in some sort of way to feel present, that's when I'm able to, like, sort of see clearly or actually, like, do or make choices that are aligned with myself. Because I always know that life is happening for me instead of to me. Because, like, the minute I get out of, like, a victimized mode is when I really, truly accept the alignments that are coming at me from the universe, or the signs that are coming at me from the universe, because it's screaming at me half of the time. When I'm overwhelmed, when I get that really high energy, I know the universe is screaming at me to get moving, to, like, do something, to take some sort of
action.
So you're breaking out again, breaking up on us again, but it's fine. Just, I think we can hear you again.
Okay. Okay.
Awesome. We got you.
But yeah, so usually actions is what helps me to stay connected to myself. Like, I have to consistently be doing. Okay. And that's with, like, my divine path, just like things. So I connect with my highest self by doing what my highest self would be doing in the present moment, even if they feel like it's not me, you know, even if it feels like imposturing or something. Like, I still be in alignment with.
Okay. Anna? Sorry, Anna, you're
not hear me.
Yeah, you're breaking up on us for some reason. Oh, no. I just want to let you know that we're running out of time right now, but I do want to ask you one thing before we leave this conversation, is that do you think that our shadow side, our dark hours, it's because of our trauma? Yeah, like our trauma, our insecurities, like it's just, do you think that our shadow side is just within us and it's something that we need to figure out within us?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, I do think that, yeah.
I agree that
it is
everything.
It's an inner work journey. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Anna. Thank you so much. Like, this was awesome.
This was super cool.
Yeah.
Thank you,
cool.
Anna.
Yeah, this was cool.
You're pretty rad.
Yeah, you're really cool. And then your Instagram is like poppin'. You gotta show me what you do.
Hey, thanks.